times. The People's Palace is said to be built to the same shape as the upside-down hull of Nelson's flagship, the HMS Victory. In this very park, Bonnie Prince Charlie's army camped here in 1745. James Watt came up with the idea for the secondary condenser for the steam engine whilst walking through this park. And the first golf club was founded here. And here's a fine opportunity on your left-hand side to take some photographs, if you wish, of Don, Ben and Jack, the glorious Clydesdale horses. In the green we had also a series of tents known as penny geggies, and these penny geggies were used as forms of entertainment for the locals back in the 18th century. They could perform Hamlet up to 7 times a day, believe it or not, and that is going some to perform Hamlet. 7 times a day, just imagine that. And again, straight in front of you in the centre of the green is the obelisk, 1806. It's older than the obelisk in Trafalgar Square in London to Admiral Lord Nelson's victory at Trafalgar. This is Charlotte Street, named after King George's wife Charlotte. On your left and right hand side stood a beautiful row of Georgian mansions with lockable gate at each end and coach house. Sadly, there is only one remaining, and it's on your left hand side. On your left hand side, when Glasgow was the city of architecture in 1999, we had a competition to build new modern apartments, and these are some of the winning results on your left hand side. And you'll see further down to the left more of them. Straight ahead in front of us is the area known as the Tron Gate, named after the old public weighing beam used to weigh the cargoes coming into Glasgow. This is stop 6 for St Andrews in the Square. On your left you will see the Corinthian columns, and in the centre of the apex, the bird, the bell, the fish and the tree. Inside it is the Centre for Scottish Culture. And in the basement we have Cafe Source. But the building on the left was built as a copy of St Martin in the Fields in London by Alan Breckhorn. This building on the left was designed by Andrew Naismith and dates between 1739 and 1757. When the walls were being constructed of St Andrews in the Square on the left, Bonnie Prince Charlie stabled his horses within that structure because until the roof was put on it was not classified as being a church. And in this very area is where the first hot air balloon took off in the 18th century when Vincent Lunardi made his way by hot air balloon to Hawick down at the Scottish borders area of Scotland. Surrounding St Andrews in the Square are some of the housing where some of the wealthy individuals would have lived back in the 18th century. And to your left is Cafe Source, and in the basement the restaurants, which sells a wonderful selection of farmers' food and other food. The next stop is 7. Stop 7 for Argyle Street and St Enoch's Shopping Centre. Over on your left is the 1751 former Whistling Kirk Church, St Andrews by the Green, named as such because the master organ made a whistling noise, and indeed music was not allowed back in the day when it was a working church. Straight ahead in front of you in the distance is the 1665 first merchant steeple with the gold sailing vessel at the very top. Can you all see it upstairs? Well, the tobacco merchants would climb to the top of that building to look down the Clyde to see the many shipping vessels coming up with the cargoes. On your right, underneath that little red brick mortuary building, the body was found of Dr. William Edward Pritchard. He was hung facing Nelson's obelisk to your left and centre of the green in 1865. He murdered his wife and mother-in-law, and a huge crowd of 100,000 people gathered to see the gruesome event. Over on your left is the area known as the Gorbals. And the Gorbals is where Benny Lynch, the famous Glaswegian boxer, came from. And on Crown Street, Thomas Lipton came from the Gorbals to the left. And if you look over to your left where the mosque building now stands, that is where the 1819 home of Alan Pinkerton was once situated. Alan Pinkerton formed the Private Eye Detective Agency in Chicago, and he was the bodyguard to Abraham Lincoln. But as we all know, he didn't do a very good job of that. And over to your left is the area of the Gorbals, and that is where, during the 13th century, it was a leper colony. Lepers were only allowed across the bridge once a week to get their food and supplies, and a person would ring a bell vigorously to inform passers-by that lepers were in the vicinity and not to approach. On your right here is the Clutha. The Romans called the River Clyde the Clutha, and the ancient Celts, but a Clutha was a sailing vessel which sailed up and down the River Clyde. This is Stockwell Street. During the 13th century there was a well here where William Wallace in the 13th century told his men to stock it well with the enemy. On your left is the Scotia Bar. 1792, this is where Billy Connolly and the Humblebums first started out. And this is stop 7. Over to your left is the area where the Metropole Theatre was once situated, where Stan Laurel first worked as a ticket clerk. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Have a great day. Every 15 minutes for a bus. Now over to your left, behind St Enoch's Shopping Centre, we have the third oldest underground system in the world. Glaswegians being ourselves, we have given it the nickname of the Clockwork Orange. Of course, London has the oldest underground system, but Glasgow can claim to have the third oldest. On your right hand side of the pavement, I will mention it just now because we might not have enough time, where the William Hill Bootmaker stands on your right, there's a silver plaque, and it commemorates James McGill, who founded the McGill University in Montreal, Canada. He was Scottish. And on your left hand side of the pavement now, where the Marks and Spencer food store now stands, stood the Black Bull Inn. Robert Burns, our famous bard, visited the Black Bull Inn in 1787. Robert Burns was in Glasgow to buy material for his wife Jean Armour's wedding dress, and it is said that Robert Burns wrote a fond kiss while staying in the Black Bull Inn. And over to the left is the area where it stood. Over to your right, facing Marks and Spencer's, is where the Shawfield Mansions stood, where Bonnie Prince Charlie stayed in 1745. Up to the right of the Trongate is where the Britannia Panopticon is located, where Stan Laurel first worked as a ticket clerk. Look on your left hand side, and very soon coming up we will be passing by the former Trades Hall, designed by the Scottish architect Robert Adams. This is on the left hand side, with the reinterpretation below of Stuart's, a Victorian tea room, and this is Stuart's tea room. Robert Adams was also the architect for Culzean Castle down at Ayrshire. On your left here is the former savings bank. As you can see, it's now a fashion boutique. Straight ahead in front of you is the Italian Centre, with the statue at the top of Italia holding the sprig in her hands. Inside we have Gucci, Armani and other upmarket labels. Over to your right is the cream spire and building of the former Hutchison building, former Hutchison Hospital, 1805. On your left is the Corinthian. It was the old court building. It's now different levels of bars and restaurants and casinos. Straight ahead in front is the Gallery of Modern Art, free entry, and the Corinthian pillars holding the front facade. It was once the home of William Cunningham, a wealthy tobacco merchant. Straight ahead is the Duke of Wellington on his horse Copenhagen, and he's got his traffic cone hat on again today. Every single night the local kids climb up and they put the traffic cone on his head. And the council try to remove it, but before they know it, it's back on again. We're going to be covering stops 8 to 24 now, on your map. On your right hand side is the statue of James Watts, who invented the separate condenser for the steam engine, and on horseback, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, her husband.